Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing another movie review for an older movie called Judgment at Nuremberg. And this is a very, very important movie. Everybody needs to watch this movie. This movie was put out in 1961. It deals with the Nuremberg trials after World War II. For those of you who don't know, the Nuremberg trials are where they tried the Nazis for war crimes. The plot is an American court in occupied Germany, they try four Nazis that are judged for war crimes. And this movie made a lot of people angry. It made a lot of them uncomfortable. Many Americans were unaware of how many American, English, and other Allied leaders and business leaders and influential people praised and condoned Hitler and his actions prior to the beginning of World War II. Winston Churchill was very famous for praising him. Others, you'll see it in the movie. This movie basically this movie shoved all of that out into the spotlight, and people couldn't ignore it anymore. And it's a really great movie. Listen to this cast. How can you go wrong with this? Spencer Tracy, Richard Widmark, Burt Lancaster, Marlena Dietrich, Maximilian Schell, Judy Garland, Montgomery Clift, William Shatner, Verner Klemperer, Kenneth McKenna, Joseph Bernard, Torben Meyer. And this isn't even all of them. But you put that in a movie about raw sewage, and it's going to win an Academy Award. But this is about a serious event, a serious part of our history, human history that can't be ignored. If people can ignore what happened or sweep it under the rug, and there are groups that are trying to do this with the Holocaust, by the way. If you can sweep it under the rug, it could happen again. And that's something we can't afford. We cannot afford to let stuff like that happen ever again. Nazis are evil, period. Anybody who argues with that, you better check yourself. Okay? Now, we'll talk about some standouts here. Well, before I do that, let me explain how difficult this movie was to make, and not just on a production schedule, but for the actors. You have actors playing Nazis in 1961. You have actors playing the defense attorneys, people who are supposed to defend these Nazis, because they were given fair trials. Okay? Because that's the legal, that's the legal process. They get due process. And so when you have these people trying to explain or to justify or to whatever, the world had just seen World War II. And it was like 15 years later, I think it was 45, 55. Yeah, about 15 or 16 years later. So figure that was still fresh. Those wounds were fresh. Nothing had really healed over that much as of yet. We were into the Cold War, but it wasn't as prevalent. World War II was still fresh in everybody's mind. So you get this kind of a topic going on at that time, and you have actors that are portraying these people, and I'm gonna do some standouts here, and I want you to pay close attention to some of them, because these people had to find a way to justify or defend Nazis. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't do it. Could you? I couldn't do it. I know that. I don't know of anybody who could. How can you justify the slaughter of millions of people because they existed for no reason, for no good reason? And keep in mind, none of that was in warfare. That was what the Germans, what the Nazis were doing, not the Germans. The Nazis were doing to the civilians in the area. the Germans, the Nazis were doing it to the German Jews, the Polish Jews. And it wasn't just Jews, because there's others. But you get my meaning. These actors had to portray these Nazis. These actors had to portray the defense attorneys for these Nazis. That would be a hell of a task. I couldn't do that. I couldn't take that role. They're better people than I am. Now, let's get to the standouts. Everyone. This movie is filled with stars. Everybody did such a great job. For standouts, I'm going to point out a number of them here. Maximilian Schell plays the defense attorney assigned to defend Burt Lancaster's character. He might have been defending others, but Burt Lancaster's character per se. And he mounted a defense that was epic. The speeches he gave in the courtroom, the topics that he brought up, you got to see the movie. It's brilliant. And Maximilian Schell is such a great actor, and it's a shame nobody heard of him more. That he wasn't given more accolades than what he was. This guy deserved Academy Awards after Academy Awards after Academy Awards. Anything with him in it is good. Check it out. Spencer Tracy, he plays the judge. This is a conflicted man. And made more so by a relationship he develops with a local German woman played by Marlene Dietrich. It's a really good dialogue. Their interaction is a big part of the movie. Burt Lancaster plays one of the Nazis on trial. And again, how can you play a Nazi right after it happened? Nowadays, things have kind of healed over a little bit, and you can, with history's perspective, you can play it. But how do you play a Nazi that close to the end of World War II? I couldn't do that. That's, oh my God. Knowing the atrocities they committed, I couldn't do it. And that's the mark of a true actor. I am not an actor, apparently. I couldn't do it. And the last one I want to talk about is Verner Klemperer. For those of you who don't know, he played Colonel Wilhelm Klink off of the old sitcom Hogan's Heroes. In this movie, he wasn't a comedian. He wasn't the fall guy or the stooge. He played a Nazi on trial, and he did it to perfection. This man is such a great actor. He's you cannot heap enough awards on the people in this movie, but Verner Klemperer is a standout. You really have to pay attention to him, because he says it like it is. And he brings a lot. Just his dialogue by itself, his speeches, the stuff that he says brings a lot of stuff to light that people probably didn't know. And this is a tough movie to make. So, difficult movies convey difficult themes, and difficult themes need to be addressed. This movie does it to perfection, brilliantly. This is the movie is Judgment at Nuremberg. One of the greatest movies ever made. If you get the opportunity to watch it, do it. This is one of those movies that's going to make you think, and it may make you uncomfortable. And if you're afraid of that, don't watch it, because there's a lot of stuff in the world that's uncomfortable. A lot of people don't realize the Nazis were actually humans. They think of Nazis as these evil, dark shadows hiding in the recesses of people's history, but they were human beings, and they performed these atrocities, and a lot of them went to prison for it. Some of them not so much. Watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.